Yes, all right. So actually we have to move on to linear inequalities, but before that there are some pending questions. So we have to finish some questions. Uh, so we are on problem sheet number 12. Please take your problem sheet number 12. We are on sheet number 12. I think we have to do the next question we need to do is question number 7, right? So we are on problem sheet number 12. We are going to do question number 7 next. Yes, question number 7. John is 20 years older than Steve. In 10 years, Steve's age will be half that of John's. What is Steve's age? Okay, these are typical age problems that can be solved using linear equations. Sometimes you may have to choose two variables. Sometimes it's easier to choose just one variable. Okay, we have discussed this fact in the previous class. So, did you guys have a try at this question? Did you try this question and got the answer? Can you let me know? Question number 7. How many of you have got the answer? Got it. Yeah. Two others. What about others? Can you tell me whether you have got the answer for this question? Question number 7. Got it. Okay. 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 However, yeah, we will do it anyway. But I just want to know if you guys have actually tried this question. Okay. Let's see how this can be done. So John is 20 years older than Steve. In 10 years, Steve's age will be half that of John's. What is Steve's age? So the question talks about current ages and ages in 10 years, 10 years from now. Okay. So we have Steve and John. And then there is current age and after 10 years. Okay, I just quickly made a table. Now let's plug in the information that we have in the question into this table. So currently John is 20 years older than Steve. So John, if I say Steve's current age is X, John is 20 plus X, right? So I've chosen Steve's current age is X. So currently John is 20 years older than Steve. So he is 20 plus X, right? That is what the statement says. Now in 10 years, their respective ages will be X plus 10 and 20 plus X plus 10 after 10 years, right? Now, after 10 years, what will be the situation? After 10 years, Steve's age will be half that of John's. So Steve's age will be half that of John's. So your X plus 10 will be half of 20 plus X plus 10. So this is the condition that is given. Now you just have to solve this equation. Solve this equation. So just there is half multiplied on the RHS. You take the half to the LHS, it becomes 2. Okay. So 2 times X plus 10 is equal to X plus 30. So we have 2X plus 20 is equal to X plus 30. So you have x is equal to 10. X is equal to 10. All right. Is that all right? Now, for the sake of practice, for the sake of verifying this answer, you can actually plug in the values here. See, this is 10. This is 30 here. After 10 years, he'll be 20. After 10 years, he'll be 40. And you can verify the facts, right? Their current ages are 10 and 30. After 10 years, they will be 20 and 40. So 20 is half 40. All right. Cool. Yes. Now let's go to the next question. A father distributed his total wealth to his two sons. The elder son received 3/5 of the amount. The younger son received $30,000. How much wealth did the father have? Okay, how much wealth did the father have? Okay, this is a much simpler problem. So, see, if you assume the father's wealth is X dollars, okay, his total wealth is X. This X is being divided into two parts. Okay, the elder son receives 3/5 of the amount. Yeah, that's good. See, your total is X. Okay. Elder and younger. Okay. Now in the first row, I'm going to represent the amounts they have got as a fraction of the total amount. Okay. So the elder son receives 3/5 of the amount. So he's going to get 3/5 of X. So how much will the younger son will get? How much will the younger son get? So one person gets 3/5 of X. The other person will get? The other person will get? Yeah, 250. Yeah, that's good. 2/5 of X. Because when you add these together, we have 3/5 times X plus 2/5 times X. You're going to get 3/5 plus 2/5 X, which is 1 times X, which is X. So that is total amount. Okay. So in the first row of this table, I have represented the amount each person gets in terms of as a fraction of the total wealth, as a fraction of the total wealth, right? Is that clear? Is that clear? See, it's not really necessary to draw a table, but if you have a table like this, see, even the previous question, if you have a table like this, it's easier to visualize data. It's easier to represent data, right? Even in this case, if you have a table, it's easier to visualize the data. Okay, so that you don't make a mistake, you don't mess up with the numbers, you don't get confused, right? In the second row, I'm going to write the actual figures. Actual figures. Okay, so the younger son has got 30,000. 30,000. Okay, this is unknown. But that doesn't matter because you can just equate these two. 2/5 of X is same as 30,000. 2/5 of x is same as 30,000. All right. So we have 2/5 of x is equal to 30,000. So x is equal to, when 2 by 5 goes to the other side, it becomes 5 over 2. 5 over 2 times 30,000. So that becomes 150,000 divided by 2, which is 75,000. So 75,000 is the answer. Is that clear? Is that okay for everyone? Yes, cool. Let's go to the next question. If you have any confusion, do let me know right away. I see that some people have done every single question in the sheet, but some people have not responded yet. So if there are people who are confused, please do let me know. No problem. Okay. Yeah. So the next question. See, when you see an SAT, typical SAT paper, there will be a lot of questions that describe a scenario, that describes a situation, that describes a real world situation. Okay. There will be a lot of word problems. So it is important that you give enough stress on solving word problems. Okay. Sometimes the problem look very lengthy, but the essence, the mathematical essence that is contained in the problem will be very simple. Okay. The problem may run into paragraphs. It may look, it will look very big. It may look intimidating, but actually the essence of the problem, okay, the concept involved, the mathematical idea that is involved in the problem will be very simple. Okay. So next question. Mary's monthly magazine subscription cost $1.25 per issue. Ken's monthly subscription is $1.5 per issue, but he received his first 2 issues for free. Which equation can be used to find the number of months after which they will have paid the same amount? All right. So we have to find the number of months after which they would have paid the same amount. So the number of months after they would have paid the same amount, I'm going to call this unknown quantity as n. Why n? Why n? Because when you look at the options talk about the variable n. Okay. We could have chosen any other variable like x, y, or something, but here in this case, the options talk about the variable n. So I'm going to choose n as the unknown quantity, the number of months after which they would have paid the same amount. All right. Is that clear? Yes. Now listen carefully. Mary actually paid for n months. See, Mary has paid for n months, but Ken paid only for n minus 2 months. Okay. So we have Mary and Ken. Okay. Mary paid for n months and she paid $1.25 per month. Ken, on the other hand, is paying a higher subscription fee, but he received the first 2 issues for free. So in fact, he paid only for n minus 2 months. He did not pay for n months. Okay, he has only paid for n minus 2 months. So he has paid for n minus 2 months, but he is paying a higher subscription fee of $1.5 per month. Okay. Now at the end of n months, the total amount Mary would have paid is n times 1.25. The second person is n minus 2 times 1.5. right? So we just need to equate this. So we have n times 1.25 is equal to n minus 2 times 1.5. Why are we equating this? Because the question talks about the same amount, the same amount, the same amount. Okay. N times 1.25 is equal to n minus 2 times 1.5. All right. Can you find the value of n? Even though it's not asked in the question, can you find the value of n? I'll be right back. Just give me a minute. Yes, what's the value of n? Did you figure out the value of n? I mean, it's not asked in the question, but I'm just... Did you figure out the value of n? It's not required for the question because, they are just asking for the equation. And the equation is right here. N times 1.25 is 1.5 times n minus 2. That's the answer. Yeah. So we have n times 1.25. So it's 1.25 times n is equal to 1.5 times n minus 2 times 1.5 is 3. Right? So you just bring 3 to the other side. So we have 3 is equal to 1.5 n minus 1.25 times n. So what do we have here? 1.5 minus 1.25 times n, which is 0.25 times n. And remember, 0.25 is a quarter, right? This is 1 by 4 times n. So your n will be 3 into 4, which is 12. Is that okay? Tell me, is that all right? We are discussing question number 9. Even though the value of n is not asked for, we just found out the value of n, that's all. All right? Yeah. So let's go to the next question. Question number 10. The present ages of Anne and Raj are in the ratio 4:5. 8 years from now, the ratio of their ages will be 5:6. What is Anne's present age? Again, that's a typical age-related question. Now, when they say the ratio of their ages, okay, but this is fine, right? Now, oh, you're talking about this particular question, right? Question number 10. No problem. We'll do it now. We'll do it now. Say, when they say that the ratio of two numbers is in 4:5, what does that mean? What does that mean? It means the numbers can be 4 and 5. Or it can be 8 and 10. Or it can be 12 and 15. Right? Okay. So when you say two numbers are in the ratio 4:5, what does that mean? How can you take the numbers? How can you choose the numbers? How can you choose the numbers? When you say the numbers are in the ratio 4:5, what does that mean? Yeah, very good. Yeah, first number will be a multiple of 4. The second number will be the same multiple of 5. Okay. The first number will be a multiple of 4. The second number will be the same multiple of 5. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yeah, when you say two numbers are in the ratio 4:5. Okay, it simply means that one number will be a multiple of 4, but the second number will be the same multiple of 4. For example, the numbers can be 4 and 5. 4 and 5. So the ratio is 4/5. Or it can be 8 and 10. So the ratio will be 8/10, which is again 4/5. Or you can have 12 and 15. The ratio is 12 over 15, which is again 4/5. You understand the logic? You understand the logic? Is that all right? Tell me, please. I would like to get a response. Yes. So in general, we don't know which multiple of 4 and 5 to be chosen. Okay. For the time being, we don't know which multiples of 4 and 5 are chosen. So we are going to choose them as 4 times n and 5 times n. Now the ratio will be 4n over 5n, which is again 4/5. Is that all right? Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Now it's easy. So we just make a table here. Okay. We have Anne and Raj. We have their present ages. And these are 4n and 5n. The present ages of Anne and Raj are in the ratio 4:5. So we have chosen them as 4 times n and 5 times n. Now, 8 years from now, so 8 years from now, their ages will be 4n plus 8, and this will be 5n plus 8. Okay, after 8 years. Now, the current ratio is 4n over 5n, which is 4 over 5. Okay. Now, after 8 years, the question says the ratio of their ages will be 5:6. 5:6. So the ratio 4n plus 8 over 5n plus 8 is 5:6. So again, once again, we have represented the information that's given in the question into a table. So it is easy to visualize the data. It is easier to figure out stuff from this table, right? Now, is this clear? What I've represented in the table, is this clear? Is this okay for everyone? Yes. Now we have just one equation which we need to solve. And interestingly, we have come across such kind of equations already. Okay. Because we have seen those equations which are not linear, which does not look like linear, but they can be converted to a linear equation by some manipulations. Right? So what we're going to do is we are going to cross multiply. Okay. This does not look like a linear equation, but we are going to cross multiply this equation so that we are going to end up with a linear equation. Is that all right? Yeah. So what do we have now? We have 6 times 4n plus 8 is equal to 5 times 5n plus 8. 6 times 4n plus 8 is equal to 5 times 5n plus 8. Now it's just a matter of simplifying. Okay. Now it's just a matter of simplifying. So we have 24 times n plus 32 is equal to 25 times n plus 5 times 8 is 40. So 25n minus 24n is going to be, oh, did we make a mistake? No, this is not 32. Okay, I made a mistake here. It's not 30. 6 times 8 is 48. Okay, please note the correction. Now this becomes 48 minus 40. 25n minus 24n. Okay, so we have n is equal to 48 minus 40 is 8. Or remember, this is not the age. Okay, this is not someone's age. This was that multiple that we have chosen. Okay, this is the multiple, the unknown multiple. Okay, remember, we have chosen the ages as 4 times n and 5 times n. The n value is nothing but the multiple. Okay, so to get the actual ages, you have to substitute the value of n. Now, since n is 8, you can actually find out the values. So this becomes 32. This becomes 40. After 8 years, this guy will be 40 and this guy will be 48. So their present ages are 32 and 40. After 8 years, their ages will be 40 and 48. The current ratio of their ages is 32 or 40. 32 or 40 is 4:5. And after 8 years, their ages will be in the ratio of 40:48, which is going to be 5:6. I hope it's fine for everyone. Is that fine for everyone? Is that okay? Okay. No problem. Now it makes sense, right, Gautam? It makes sense, right? See, in a typical question, see, what you have to do is you have to read the question thoroughly. And first of all, you have to understand how many conditions are given. Okay. Here we have just one condition given. What is the condition? 8 years from now, the ratio of the ages will be 5:6. Okay. Yes. Of course, the initial condition, with the initial condition, we can choose the numbers as 4n and 5n. We have to figure that out. Afterwards, after 8 years, the ages will be 4n plus 8 and 5n plus 8. Now the ratio will be 5:6. You just equate it and get the answer. See, this is one of the toughest questions they can ask in linear equation. Okay. This is one of the toughest questions they can ask in linear equation. So do not worry about getting tougher questions. This is one of the toughest questions they can ask. But remember, the question can be framed in any way. Okay, even though the solution to the question will be easy, the mathematical idea will be easy, the questions may run into many sentences because they would have taken that context from a real life situation, maybe from history, from geography or economics or any other field. Okay. Okay, so we have one more problem sheet that we need to solve before moving on to linear inequalities. Again, linear inequalities, we will take several hours to discuss linear inequalities in one variable. Before that, we have to finish this. So let me quickly go into the next sheet. So I hope everybody has the sheet. Please, we are on problem sheet number 13. I request everyone to take problem sheet number 13. Please, 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 please have a look at the sheet. Yeah. Okay. Let's see the question number 1. The Tuskers won 3 of their first 21 games. How many games in a row after these 21 games do the Tuskers have to win in order to have won exactly 3/5 of the games they have played? Okay. So out of the 21 games, out of the first 21 games, they have already won only 3 games. Okay, they have just won 3 games. How many games in a row after these 21 games do the Tuskers have to win in order to have won exactly 3/5 of the games they have played? Okay, that's a very interesting question. Has anybody got the answer? Anybody got the answer, final answer? Anybody has the final answer? Please let me know. Okay. What about others? Others. Anybody has actually solved the question? Please let me know. Anybody has actually solved the question? Please let me know. Anybody has actually done the question? I mean, actually solved it. Hello. Are you guys with me? Okay. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. So initially, the information that we have is out of the 21 games, they have just won 3 games. Okay. Okay, this is total. This is the total number of games. And this is the games they have won. Okay. Now, our question talks about how many games in a row. Further, they are going to play such and such number of games. Okay, they are going to play some more games after this. Okay. Now, how many games they should win in a row so that they will win 3/5 of the games they have already played. Okay. So let us assume that they're going to play n more games. Okay. And they're going to win all of them. Okay. Okay. So altogether, they would have played 21 plus n games and they would have won 3 plus n games. Okay. So currently, they have played 21 games and they have won 3 games. Further, They're going to play n games and they are going to win all of them. Okay. So the total number of games they would have played is 21 plus n. And the total number of games they would have won is 3 plus n. Now, question talks about finding the value of n in such a way that the ratio of the games, the number of games they won to the total number of games they played is 3:5. Right? Is that all right? So far, so good? So far, so good? Yeah. You just equate it. What do I equate? The ratio is 3 plus n is to 21 plus n. And this is given to be 3/5. That's all. Now, can you figure the value of n now? Can you figure the value of n by solving this equation? Can you figure the value of n? Yeah. Why do we have to add n? See, the question clearly says currently they have played 21 games. Now the question talks about how many games in a row after these 21 games. So they are going to play n more games. Okay, current situation is this. They played only 21 games and they won 3 out of the 21 games. Now they're going to play further n more games. Okay. After this 21 games, they're going to play n more games and they're going to win all of this. Yes. Now, the total number of games that they would have won, they would have played will be 21 plus n. Okay, they have already played 21. They're playing n more. And the total number of games they would have won is 3 plus n. Because they have already won 3 games and they're going to win n more games because they're going to win all the games. Now, the value of n should be in such a way that the ratio of these two quantities, these two numbers will be 3:5. Okay, it's a simple idea. Okay, say your favorite team has won so many games of the first 21 games, 3 games of the 21 games. Now, how many games they have to win in a row so that they win 3/5 of the 12 games? That's all. Simple question. Okay, once you understand the question, the math is very simple. Now let's see. Can you solve this equation and find the value of n? Solve this equation and find the value of n. You have to cross multiply, right? Just cross multiply. We have 5 times 3 plus n is equal to 3 times 21 plus n. Now we have 15 plus 5n will be 21 times 3 will be 63 plus 3 times n. Yeah. So we have 5n minus 3n is equal to 63 minus 15, which is going to be 48. 2 times n is equal to 48. Your n value comes out as 24. Your n value comes out as 24. Is that all right? Is that cool? Yeah. So let's go to the next question. Question number 2. Just a moment, I'll be right back. Please read up the question and see whether you've got the answer. Just a moment. What will be the fast way to compute? There's no really a shortcut involved here because did you get the answer using a shorter way, Gaurav? No, not really. Okay, I mean it's not really necessary that all questions have a shortcut, but please understand the logic. Okay, please understand the logic. These questions are common. Okay, very common questions uh, in linear equations. Yeah. Second question. 3 years ago, Mr. Forsyth was two-thirds as old as he will be 8 years from now. How old is Mr. Forsyth now? Uh-huh. So, did you guys try this question and got the answer? Anybody has got the answer? Anybody has got the answer? Others, can you let me know if you got the answer? Okay, cool. What about others? Okay, let's do it. See, the question is not very difficult. How old is Mr. Fosse now? So let's choose it as X. That's the unknown part. Okay. Just choose X as the current age of Mr. Fosse. Is that all right? I've chosen X as the current age. Now, 3 years ago. So 3 years ago, his age was X minus 3. Now, 8 years from now, his age will be X plus age. Does that make sense? The current age is X. 3 years ago, his age was X minus 3. And 8 years from now, his age is X plus 8. Does that make sense? Is that all right? I've chosen the present age as X. So 3 years back, he was X minus 3. 8 years from now, he'll be X plus 8. Is that all right? Yeah. Now the math is very simple because, they are saying that this number is 3 years ago was two-thirds as old as he will be 8 years from now. Okay. So which is the bigger quantity? Which is the bigger quantity? Which is the bigger quantity? X minus 3 or X plus 8? Which is a bigger quantity? X plus 8. Okay. So you should have that sense in your mind so that you don't mess up. As in, the question says you have X minus 3 is equal to 2/3 of X plus 8. Okay. If you understand X plus 8 is the bigger quantity, you won't mess up. Like you won't write X plus 8 is equal to 2/3 of X minus 3. Okay. Just understand that X plus 8 is the bigger quantity. X minus 3 is a smaller quantity. It says that the smaller number is 2/3 of the bigger number. Now, does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yeah. Can you? Yeah. Now just solve for the value of X. Just solve for the value of X. The 3 in the denominator, when it goes to the LHS, it becomes multiplication. Okay. Multiplication. So everyone, please try to solve this equation. Please try to solve this equation. So we have X minus 3 is equal to 2/3 of X plus 8. So we have 3 times X minus 3 is equal to 2 times X plus 8. 3x minus 9 is equal to 2x plus 16. So we have 3x minus 2x is equal to 9 plus 16. Your X value comes out as 25. Your X value comes out as 25. Is that all right? Your X value came out to be 25. Now let's see what are the actual numbers. The actual numbers are nothing but this is 25. His current age is 25. After 8 years, he will be 33. And 3 years back, he was 22. See this? His present age is 25. 3 years back, he was 22. And 8 years from now, he'll be 33. And your 22 is 2/3 of 33. Your 22 is 2/3 of 33. It's not a difficult question, is it? Is this a difficult question? Okay. Now, how do we get an intuitive feeling from the question? It's very simple. See, within a gap of 11 years. How 11 years? How is it 11 years? Okay. How 11 years? 3 years ago and 8 years from now. So there's a difference of 11 years. Yeah. Now, please listen carefully how to get an intuitive idea of the question. Within a gap of 11 years. How 11 years? 3 years ago and 8 years from now. So there's a gap of 11 years. Within a gap of 11 years, or a gap of 11 years, what is the change that happens to his age? What is the change that happens to his age? what is happening here? Please understand carefully. Within a gap of 11 years, what really happens? Within a gap of 11 years, what happens really? This 11 years correspond to 1/3 of the age, this age. Okay, this 11 corresponds to this 11 years gap corresponds to 1/3, because this number is 2/3. Okay, they are just comparing two quantities. They are comparing two quantities. One is age, his age 3 years back. Another is his age 8 years from now. They are comparing these two quantities. Okay, they are comparing these two quantities, and the difference between these quantities is 11. That is point number one. And second idea is, the bigger quantity happens to be 2/3, the smaller quantity is 2/3 of the bigger quantity. Okay, so this 1/3 difference corresponds to 11 years. This 1/3 difference corresponds to 11 years. So 1/3 of this quantity corresponds to 11 years. Okay, so from that you can get that this quantity is nothing but 3 times 11, which is 33. 3 times 11, that's 33. I'll explain it once again. Please listen carefully. There are two quantities. There are two numbers. Okay, and they are saying that the smaller number is 2/3 the bigger number. There are two numbers. The smaller number is 2/3 the bigger number. 2/3 of the bigger number. And difference between these two numbers is 11. Difference between these two numbers is 11. So what will the numbers be? That's my question. There are two numbers. There's a smaller number and there's a bigger number. See, there is a smaller number. There's a bigger number. There's a smaller number. Okay. When going from bigger to smaller, it's actually getting multiplied by 2/3. And when going from bigger to smaller, there's a difference of 11 years. Okay. So what does it mean? 1/3 of the bigger number corresponds to 11, right? 1/3 of the bigger number corresponds to 11. Why? Because bigger number is 2/3 the smaller number. The difference corresponds to 1/3 of the bigger number, and that is given to be 11. The difference between bigger number and smaller number is what? 1/3 the bigger number, because the smaller number is 2/3 of the bigger number. So bigger number minus smaller number is 1/3 the bigger number, and that is given to be 11. So bigger number is actually 11 times 3, which is 33. I mean, if I'm just trying to give an idea of how the numbers actually work out. Okay, if it's too difficult for you, you can actually do the math and get the answer. That's also fine. Okay, shall we go to the next question? Shall we go to the next question? Hello? Yeah, okay. So, question number 3. The sum of 3 consecutive multiples of 11 is 363. The smallest among these is. So, the consecutive multiples of 11. Consecutive multiples of 11. So, how can you choose these multiples of 11? How can you choose this multiples of 11? We have to find the smallest among these. Smallest among these. What happens when you take consecutive multiples of 11? What happens when you take consecutive multiples of 11? To get consecutive multiples of 11, you keep adding 11, right? Okay, because 3 times 11, when you go from 3 times 11 to 4 times 11, you're actually adding 11. Is that all right? When you go from 3 times 11 to 4 times 11, you're actually adding 11. When you go from 4 times 11 to 5 times 11, you're actually adding 11. When you go from 5 times 11 to 6 times 11, you're actually adding 11. Okay. Now, so if you choose the smallest number as x, if you choose the smallest number as x, how will you get the next multiple of 11? How will you get the next multiple of 11? How will you get the next multiple of 11? You just add 11 to it, right? Is that all right? Yeah, very good. So this is x plus 11. And the next multiple of 11 will be x plus 11 plus 11. Is that okay? Now it's simple. The sum of these three numbers is given as how much? It's the sum of these three numbers is given as 363. 363. 363. Okay. So sum of these three numbers is 3x plus 11 plus 11 plus 11 is 360. So your 3x plus 33 comes out as 360. Your 3x comes out as 363 minus 33, which is 330. Your x comes out as 110. 110. 110. 110 will be the answer. Yes, of course, you could have taken the numbers as 11 times x, 11 times x plus 11, 11 times x plus 11 plus 11, but that's not really required. Okay, you can choose the number as x. You can choose the smallest number as x. You don't have to really choose it as 11 times something. Okay, because even if you choose the smallest number as x, to get the next number, you have to add 11. To get the next number, you have to add one more 11. Okay. And your final answer should be a multiple of 11. Finally, when you solve and get the answer, that should be a multiple of 11. Otherwise, you're making a mistake. Got it? So you can actually verify the numbers. Okay. The smallest multiple is 110. The next number is 121. And the next number is 132. Now, interestingly, I've talked about this before. Interestingly, if you see the options, all the options are multiples of 11. Okay. The answer has to be a multiple of 11. All the options are multiples of 11. You cannot eliminate any of the options right away. But interestingly, these three numbers are nothing but the numbers we are talking about. So if you can just glance at the numbers and say that, yeah, see, if I add up these three numbers, these three are multiples of 11. Moreover, these three are consecutive multiples of 11. Moreover, they satisfy the condition that is given in the question. That if you add them up, you're going to get 360. Now, without solving the question, you can get the answer. How did I figure it out? Just look at the options. You understand that every number is a multiple of 11. Moreover, all these four numbers are consecutive multiples of 11. And third thing is, if you add up the first three numbers in the option, you're going to get the number 363 that is given in the question. So you're happy, you got the answer. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. Anyway, we have to finish these questions. This may take some more time. So only after finishing this question, we can move on to the next topic, which is linear inequality. So we don't have fresh assignment for the next week, but make sure that you complete these questions, okay, for the next week. See you.